America comes together, we've made tremendous progress. 100 years ago, kids in classrooms were taught the color of their skin was their most important characteristic. And if they looked a certain way, they were inferior. Today, kids are being taught that the color of their skin defines them again. And if they look a certain way, they're an oppressor. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
Agree with that? And what do you make of his warning against fighting discrimination with more discrimination?
I believe that we need to address, well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country, but we also do have to speak truth about the history of racism in our country and its existence today.
Now, you can't say you don't believe that America's a racist country, Francesca. This don't add up for me. The math ain't mathing. But then say we got to speak to the history. So that's on the vice president. And then you got Senator Tim Scott, who is from the South Carolina, to be got the pure unadulterated gall. Now, he right, 100 years ago, students were taught. Not only were they taught, it was in all the social constraints, the political, economic, all of that. It was everywhere. Within the fabric of America, it was all up in your face. The colored water fountain, the different waiting rooms, all up in your face. Today, nobody taught that because they white, they the oppressor. And if you think that teaching the history of this country somehow paints a cloud over people who are not black, you got a problem, sir. The problem is with you. But Francesca, I mean, these two elected leaders did not have the courage to tell the truth about this country. And that, that disappoints me, especially because they're black. And I don't think, hold on for just, the onus is not for black people. You know what I mean? It's not on us. So we didn't create this monster.
Yeah, George. I think George has a little bit more responding to do. He could step up himself, I mean, but for real, he could step up and say something. I think it is interesting that, Vice President Harris missed an opportunity to, and it just shows you that the Biden administration does not have a line on how they actually are tackling the rampant amount of political and racist violence that we see from all sides, whether it's the police or whether it's, civilians, whether it's the GOP, because that was a perfect opportunity to say, let's separate two things out. One is racism, which often gets hurled at individuals, and another is systems, right? And the systems in this country, yes, there was hierarchies based on race, and the legacy of that continues. There's a way that I feel like Vice President Harris continually misses the mark of and not to, another neoliberal, but I'm gonna give him a little hat tip. But former President Barack Obama, I think, was much better at being able to walk a line and explain that yes, there are these long time systems of oppression and racial hierarchies that we need to continually undo. He would frame it as a way of, we're constantly trying to make this country better. He wouldn't, and so I feel like we're missing some of that, for lack of a better term, hand holding, because we know a lot of white people are probably watching that and they want, Kamala Harris to say that it's not a racist country. So anyway, that is just my thoughts. But yeah, Tim Scott, I mean, keep lying to yourself.
Yeah, you giving them both a little more credit than I would, but we don't have to 100% agree on this. I understand what you're saying, and that you believe President Obama would have handled the situation differently. From my vantage point, and team, I'm staying on this story. Okay, let's just go and rest right here. What I believe is that, look, the truth, we just got to be able to handle the truth. And if you ain't racist, and if you're not anti-black, then you shouldn't have a problem with the truth. That shouldn't hurt your feelings.
Yes.
What you should do is become an ally and say, what can I do in my lifetime to make sure that my children or my children's children or everybody else's children don't have to endure this kind of stuff again? But Francesca, I'm just sick and tired. I ain't gotta hold your hand on this.
Right, no, it's not your job.
But I wanna say I was extra specially disappointed in those two. So at the same time, more than one thing can be true at once. That disappointed that, as you're right, George should have stepped in there. We need some allies and some co-conspirators to step in there, because the fix is not on the backs of black people, because we didn't create it. But when an opportunity is given to us, to me as black people, and especially when you got that kind of power, them kind of extra special titles, then you need to go ahead and tell the truth and let the chips fall where they may. And if you're gonna lose a vote because you talk about the historical dynamics of racism and anti-blackness in this country and how it has bled truly bled over into the 21st century, and how what is true today doesn't have to be true tomorrow. And that if you ain't a damn racist, and if you don't subscribe to white supremacy, and if you want to be a part of the fix, then you don't have to have no hard feelings. Because then that means I ain't talking about you.